Sarah had died, and Isaac, her son, was mourning for his mom. He was grieved, he was inconsolable. He just could not get over the death of his mom. Abraham, his dad, was getting on in years, getting really old. And so he also worried about his son, this son who was grieving for his mom. So he sent his servant to go back to his home country, Haran, to get a wife for Isaac. Isaac at this time is probably about 40 years, so he's not a young kid. But Abraham did not want Isaac to go back to his, and he did not want Isaac to marry one of the Canaanite women where they were staying because of their idolatry and other atrocities. So he told his servant to swear, hold him under the thigh and swear that he will not take his son back to his hometown, Haran, but he will go there and get a wife and bring him for Isaac. And the servant says, what if the lady doesn't want to come with me? And Abraham says, then you'll be free of this oath. But just don't take my son back to Haran, and don't let him have a wife from the land of Canaan. So the servant saddles his donkeys and he goes to Haran. When he gets there, he settles at a well and he prays to the God of Abraham that he prays for success in this journey. The damsel that will come to the well, that he will ask, give me some water, and she will reply, not only will I give you water, but I will also water your donkeys. Let her be the one. Let me know that my journey is successful. Let that be the sign. So he asked for a sign, just like Gideon asked God for a sign with the fleece and the water, wet, dry, dry, wet. So that's Gideon in the book of Judges. So the servant asked for his sign. No sooner had he finished praying, Rebekah came to the well to draw water for her animals. And the servant asked her the question, and she replied exactly the sign the servant wanted, to know that God had answered his prayer. And she watered, and he was looking at her, wondering if his journey had been successful. And then he asked her questions, and she answered. He gave her jewelry, and she ran home to her brother Laban to tell him everything about this stranger at the well. So Laban came out and fetches the servant. He's entertained, he's fed, he's watered. He tells them his purpose, what he wants. And Rebekah agrees to go with him to marry Isaac. So there's a relationship between Rebekah here. God led the servant to Abraham's family, not just to Haran, but to Abraham's family. So Rebekah is Abraham's brother's granddaughter. So Abraham has a brother called Nahor. So Nahor and his wife Milcah, they give birth to Bethuel, I think. And Bethuel gives birth to Rebekah. So Isaac's wife is his uncle's granddaughter. So you get that. Just let that sink in for a bit. So Abraham and Nahor are brothers, and Rebekah is Nahor's granddaughter. So she ends up being Isaac's wife. So there is a family connection that God leads the servant to, not just any family in Haran. So Rebekah goes back with the servant and meets Isaac, and the Bible says Isaac is comforted after the death of his mom. So Rebekah was able to ease that grief in Isaac. She was able to let him get over his mom's death. So she was there and she consoled her husband. So Isaac was 40, as I said. However, Rebekah did not get pregnant quickly. So they were praying and praying and praying. She gets pregnant 20 years after they get married. By this time, Isaac is 60. So she gets pregnant eventually. And she's having a hard time with the pregnancy. So she doesn't know what's going on. Why is she feeling this way? Why she just doesn't know what it is. So she goes to inquire what's going on. Why is she feeling this way? Why is she having such a hard time with the pregnancy? The babies are like kicking within her, fighting within her. So it was just terrible. And she's told that there are 2 babies in your womb, 2 nations. So the older will serve the younger, and there will be that kind of discord and stuff between both of them. So she keeps this saying to herself. It's not known that she told her husband Isaac about this prophecy, but some stories that I read said she did not tell him. She kept it to herself. And then, of course, she had the babies. And Esau came out first. He was all reddish and so much, and had lots of hair. He was so hairy, which was unusual for a newborn. And Jacob came out after him, holding on to Esau's heel. So he was called Jacob, supplanter, and he had smooth skin. He wasn't hairy like his brother. So she had the 2 children. The Bible says Isaac loved Esau because he grew up to become a hunter, and he always goes and kills animals and gives it to his dad, and his dad loved meat. But Rebekah loved Jacob because he was a calm guy. He lived closer to his mom, like a mommy's boy. He was interested in planting and stuff. He wasn't interested in going out far into the bush. So he was a gentle lad. So his mom loved him more. But the dad, Isaac, loved Esau because of the meat that he always brings for him after he'd gone out hunting and stuff. So, and then shortly after this, after the boys are born, I don't know how long, there's a famine where they were living. So Rebekah and Isaac, they moved after God had told them to Gerar, to go and stay because of the famine. I don't know where the twins were, but they were grown up. But I don't know where they were because they were not really mentioned as like they went with their parents. So I don't know where they were. I did check. So if anybody knows, you can let me know. Put it in the comment box. So Isaac and his wife Rebekah went to Gerar to go and live because of the famine. And just like Abraham, his dad, did before with his wife Sarah, Isaac lied that Rebekah was his sister because he was afraid that the men in Gerar would kill him and marry her because she was also very beautiful. So just exactly what his dad Abraham did with Sarah when he also went to Egypt, and he lied to the king that Sarah was his sister. So Isaac also did the same thing. So however, one day the king Abimelech saw Isaac and Rebekah fraternizing, snugging, kissing. He was fondling her, touching her in a sexual way. And the king thinks, that's not his sister. This is odd. A brother and a sister will not fondle and caress in that way. That's not his sister. So he called Isaac, come here. Why did you lie that she's your sister? She's not. She's your wife. I saw both of you snugging. I saw the way you looked into her eyes. I saw the way you were kissing her. I saw how you held her, how you were fondling her. She's not your sister. So Isaac confesses and says, I thought the men in Gerar would kill me to marry her because she's beautiful. That's why I lied. So the king made a decree, a law, a rule, saying nobody should touch Isaac. If anybody should kill him, that person will be killed. They should just leave them to live as a couple. So they settled there, and they were able to live openly as husband and wife until eventually they moved on. So, and then Isaac now was getting old. He could no longer see properly. He was weak. And he thought, okay, because he's now getting on in years, he now needs to pass the blessing on to the firstborn son. because there's the blessing that that's passed on to the firstborn. They get the double inheritance as the firstborn. So he called Esau, his firstborn, and told him to go and prepare him some game, go and catch game, prepare it the way he likes and bring it so he can bless him, because he doesn't know how long he has left to live. Rebekah overhears this conversation and remembers the prophecy, the oracle that was told to her when she was pregnant. Now here, I don't know if she was helping God, or if either way that prophecy would have been fulfilled without her interference. I'm sure there's a way God would have still brought it to pass, but she decides to take matters into her own hands, that this is the prophecy she heard and it has to be fulfilled. So she calls her young son Jacob. Come here quickly. I overheard your dad tell Esau to go and catch meat and prepare it so he can bless him before he dies. Go to the backyard and just catch a goat and bring it. I will cook it the way your dad likes. I know his taste. I know the way he likes his food. And then you will take it into him and get the blessing. And Jacob thinks, no, this is not right. Number one, I don't sound like Esau. I'm not hairy like Esau. If I deceive my dad, instead of a blessing, he will curse me instead. His mom says, don't worry, that curse will fall on her. Don't worry about that. You just quickly stop wasting time before Esau gets back. Just do what I'm telling you. I'm your mother. Quickly. So Jacob goes behind the garden, brings a goat. The mom cooks it the way the dad loves it, and she takes the skin off the goat and covers Jacob's arms and his neck, the exposed bits, because Esau is hairy, Jacob is not. And then he takes the food into his dad. Sit up, my father. I have arrived. I've come to give you the food so you can bless me. And Isaac sits up and says, how come you came back so soon? Because Isaac knows it takes so long before you will set a trap, before you will catch the animal, before you will kill it, before you will cook it. He knows it takes much longer than that. So how come you came back so quickly? And Jacob says, well, the God of your father, he prepared an animal for me today. He gave me success. So that's why I was quick. And Isaac says, okay, come closer, come closer. So he moves closer and he touches him. He can feel his hairy, and he can smell the animal, and the dew. And he goes, this is odd, because the voice is the voice of Jacob, but the skin is the skin of Esau. Are you sure you are my son Esau? And he says, I am. So Isaac gets up, he eats, and then he blesses Jacob, thinking he's blessing Esau, makes him master over his brothers, blesses him with everything that you can think of, and Jacob leaves. No sooner had he left, his brother Esau comes in. My father, get up and come and eat and bless me. And Isaac shakes, terribly shakes. What do you mean? So who have I just blessed? And that person will be blessed. That blessing is permanent. It cannot be revoked. Who have I just blessed? And then Esau cries and says, but it's me, it's Esau. And Isaac says, I'm sorry. I've already blessed your brother. He has come in and he has taken your blessing, and he will be blessed. I can't do anything. And Esau weeps. He weeps and he says, are you sure there's not even one blessing for me? Not even one blessing for me, my father. And then Isaac says, okay, I will bless you. I have made him Lord over you. He will be your Lord. But eventually you will break that yoke from off your neck. That's all I can say. And Esau lives furiously, planning that when their dad, Isaac, dies, he's going to kill his brother Jacob. So you see, he still loved his dad so much that he did not do it there and then. He said he will wait until the man is dead. He didn't want his dad to be hurt, to be grieved at that such an old age. Say, I will kill him after our dad is dead and we've buried him. Rebekah was told this plot of her son Esau, and she calls Jacob and says, right, I'm going to send you to my brother Laban. I will tell your dad that I want you to go there to get married, so you don't marry the Canaanite women here, you know, because Esau is angry. So you will be there until the anger has gone, you know, because of what you did to him. That's what the Bible says. She said because of what you did to him. She completely removes herself from the blame. Not because of what she did to him. I mean, she did tell her son that she will take the blame. The curse should come to her. She never took the blame. She said because of what you did to him. She exonerated herself from it, allowing Jacob to be on the run for something that wasn't even his plan. So she goes to Isaac, her husband, and says, you know, because of the Canaanite women here, I don't want Jacob to marry one of the ladies. Let him go back to my brother Laban and get married there. And Isaac blesses Jacob again and sends him off. So Jacob is now on the run from his brother Esau. So then coming back to Rebekah, she doesn't see her son Jacob again. He's there with the brother Laban for 20 years. So by the time he comes back, because he does eventually go back, and Esau is no longer angry with him, doesn't want to exact revenge any longer, Rebekah had died. So she never saw her son Jacob, her favorite son Jacob, again. She never saw his children. She never saw them united, Jacob and Esau. So she did pay a heavy price for what she did. So this is the story of Rebekah. She tried her best. I don't know if it's a good thing or if it's a bad thing what she did, because she did get that prophecy when she was pregnant with the twins, and she thought, okay, she needed to make it come to pass, to fulfill it. But she did it in a way that caused a rift between her sons. Jacob was living in fear. Even when he was coming back, he was fearful that Esau is going to kill him. You know, he had to split the tents into 3 parts and stuff in case Esau comes and kills all of them. So it did cause a rift in the family, but I'm sure God also had a hand in it, because Esau married Canaanite women that they were not supposed to marry, women who were idolaters. And I don't think God would have wanted Jesus to come from that line, you know. So, and you know, that was Edom. If you watch my summary of Obadiah, you'll also understand fully about this Israel and Edom hatred for each other because of Jacob and Esau. So I will add Obadiah to the end of this. It's very short. Watch it. It's very interesting, and it's very short. So watch it. So I'm sure it was also a divine orchestration by God for it to be fulfilled that way, because, you know, through Jacob and then Israel came and Jesus came. Otherwise, it would have been through Esau and Edom, and that line has been contaminated and polluted by the intermarriage that Esau did with the women he's not supposed to do. So to round up, anything God has said, it will come to pass in your life. When Jesus say yes, nobody can say no. Whatever he has said, his words are yea and amen. He will bring it to pass in his own way. Joseph also, you see the way God brought it to pass. God revealed those dreams to him. Joseph went through hell, but eventually the dreams did come to pass. So whatever God has said concerning your life, he will find a way to get it fulfilled, to bring it to completion. So anyway, this is Rebekah. So we're going to look at Jacob's wives. So we'll look at Rachel and Leah also. So thank you so much for joining me in Women of the Bible. Consider subscribing to my channel. God bless you. Bye.